I will share a horrible Viva experience of my medical school. Anyway, this also hurt some examiner's ego, and then they go above and beyond, throwing questions and questions and questions at me, and I was like, oh my god, what is happening here? Why am I? And he was like, you do not have done anything for us to pass you. And I was like, ask more. Even after you have prepared very, very well in your medical school, even after you have read all the notes and you have done all your preparation and you have done whatnot, still you have absolutely no idea how you're going to perform on the Viva day. Such is the uncertainty of the Viva day, because it is very subjective on the examiner, what kind of questions examiner is going to throw upon you, if you will be able to perform in that particular 5 to 10 minutes that you will be given in the Viva and XYZ and whatnot. And most of my colleagues are used to really dread Vivas, because they would have scored so good in their theories, and suddenly in Vivas they even are fail, or they've gotten supplies or stuff like that. So it was a horrible experience to be in the Vivas. So some tips and tricks for the Viva is to know your examiner. That helps you a lot. For example, my pathology examiner, when I gave the pathology Viva, was a hematologist. So with that information, I knew that this man is going to be pro in hematology. So I studied hematology much more. I revised hematology in a much far better way as compared to other systems. Don't skip other systems, but give special attention to hematology. So turns out, right, when I was with the examiner, all the question that he asked from me was from hematology. Blood this, blood that, this blood disorder, that blood disorder. Similarly, if somebody is an endocrinologist, he's going to ask you about endocrinology. And I'm talking about the subjects of 4th and final year of medical school, because in 1st, 2nd and 3rd you have the basic sciences, and people are going to ask you questions from those, like anatomy, biochemistry and stuff like that. When you are standing outside that Viva room, tell yourself that you're over prepared and well prepared for this exam, and you can tackle any question. Enter that room very confidently. Even if you don't know one question, you will quite definitely know the next one. So do not let that one question that you do not know overtake the whole idea of you giving a Viva and just doing blunders or going all blank out. And even if you have blanked out, just sometimes excuse the examiner, tell him that I need a little bit of fresh air, or maybe some people are kind enough to give you that space where you actually can take the fresh air, but some people they're not. So maybe avoid it to be at a safer place. But yeah, you will know stuff, and just you cannot do anything when you are standing outside that Viva room. If you will tell yourself, oh my god, I don't know anything, I'm going to fail this and that, it is only going to increase your anxiety. Go inside and have this so powerful, strong manifestation that this guy, examiner or girl, woman is going to ask me a question that I absolutely know, and I'm going to ace it. Enter that Viva room with this feeling, and you will quite definitely do it. And with that, I will share a horrible Viva experience of my medical school throughout. It was a pharmacology Viva. I was giving the Viva in my supplementary exam, because I had skipped the final exam because I was in the States for my exchange program. So if I would have failed that Viva, that means that I would have repeated. I would have to repeat my whole year, God forbid. So I entered the room, and 2 examiners were sitting, one of them in the kind of face which was not welcoming at all, which is very sad and unfortunate, because these people who are sitting as examiners, they should be told that the student who is coming to you is already in a lot of anxiety and stress. So you have to loosen up that tension, and do not have to grip it tight, and you do not have to make that student feel worse about themselves in order to feel good about yourself. I don't know, it is not some kind of achievement to ask student the kind of question that nobody is able to answer. Believe me, it is not an achievement. And I don't know why are you abstracting your sense of pride from it. Anyway, I seated down, and he asked, okay, so how you prepared? So I should not have said that, but I said, I'm prepared well, but I'm a little tired because I have given my pathology Viva yesterday, and I've given my XYZ Viva the day before it. So what I meant to say was that I'm tired, obviously, because I'm giving Vivas back. But what he took from that is that I am maybe trying to say this to him, that I have done terrible job at revising and I have not studied whole year and whatnot. And he said, what do you mean? So you were expecting us to not ask you anything? I was like, no, I'm not expecting that. You asked me how were you prepared, so I just said the truth. Don't say the truth. If somebody asks you how are you prepared, tell them you're over prepared. Tell them you know each and everything. Maybe. Anyway, this also hurt some examiners' ego, and then they go above and beyond to make you realize that you do not know everything. So it is a lot of gray here. Anyway, so obviously I got nervous at his reaction, and then he starts throwing questions at me, and I was like, oh my god, what is happening here? Why am I not being able to answer such easy questions? And then the guy who was sitting with him, the other examiner, who was famous for being very horrifying examiner, he was comparatively nicer to me, and he said, okay, tell me this thing. Then I told him that thing. Then he started putting questions on me, and that I started to give him answers, because he provided me that environment that for a time being ease my mind, and my brain was able to think again. And then he asked me some question that he shared in his classroom, and he said that I would ask this question to you in Viva, and if anybody of you fails to answer this, you fail. I remembered that question very well, and then he asked me, and I answered the question well. So the first examiner, who was not very welcome, he was like, okay, so you know what he taught you in the class. Tell me, what was that story that I told you about the sympathetic nervous system? Okay. I took his class. I remember that I might have only took one class of him, and it was that class in which he taught sympathetic nervous system, but I had no idea what that story was. Maybe it was not interesting enough to be remembered, so I forgot. And there are like multiple classes. How would I remember what was that story that you shared with us in a lecture of a sympathetic nervous system? But he was like disappointed in me for not knowing that story again, and he was like, you do not have done anything for us to pass you. And I was like, ask more. I was well prepared for that exam, and for that subject I had bought another subscription, and I know that I'm well prepared for that exam. But it was like, no, just leave, I'm done with this Viva here. And I was so, like, I cannot even explain what I was feeling at that time, because failure in that particular subject meant that I have to repeat the whole year. And then I looked into the eyes of this examiner that was sitting with him, and he just said this, like, with his very soft eyes, he gave me the signal that don't worry, you're pass. And then they passed me at the borderline, like 75 was pass, 74 was fail, and they gave me 75. And I scored exceptionally well in the theory. It was like probably 135 out of 115 theory and 75 out of 115 Viva. So yeah, that's how it can go sometimes. But I truly believe if you have worked hard enough, God always helps you. Or agar kisi ki supply aati bhi hai very unfairly, I think God, somehow makes up for it, and somehow आपको कहीं ना कहीं उसका मिल जाता है अजर. Because in the end, Vivas are very, 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 very subjective.